Hi there, this is Steve, and in this video you're going to learn about lookup functions terminology and operations. And this video is a guest post by my co-instructor on Udemy, Robin Davis, and this is a video from her new course, Lookup Functions Deep Dive. And you can check out more of the Lookup Functions Deep Dive course on Udemy by clicking on the link that you'll find in the description. But without further ado, here's Robin.
Each of the lookup functions we'll be talking about in the course have their own unique advantages and disadvantages, which can make things confusing. But depending on the way your data is set up and what you want to accomplish, you can determine which of the lookup functions is going to be the right one for you to use if you know how each of them work. First, let's discuss some basic lookup function terminology. Lookup value is a value that Excel searches for. Return value is a value that Excel returns once it finds the lookup value. For lookup functions, an array is a range of cells that contain your lookup data and/or return data. There are three main kinds of arrays in lookup functions: table array, lookup array, and return array. I'll now show you what these elements look like within a simple example. Here I have a sheet that has a coffee menu which lists the type of coffee drinks and their prices. I'm using a lookup function so that when I input a type of coffee drink here, Excel fills in its price here. So in this example, this is our lookup value. We're telling Excel this is what we want it to search for. And this is our return value. This is what Excel returned once it found the lookup value. And you want to input your lookup function into the cell that you want to show the return value. Here is the table array. It contains both the data we want Excel to look through and the values that we want returned. VLOOKUP uses a table array, but some of the other lookup functions use separate lookup and return arrays. If we were instead using index match or XLOOKUP, this section would be our lookup array because this is where we want Excel to look to find the lookup value, and this would be our return array because it's the area that contains values that we want returned. Again, we're looking for a specific coffee type and returning the price of that coffee type. Now that we've gone over the basic definitions, let's take a look at a graphic that you can reference that gives an overview of the features and the limitations of each of the lookup functions we'll be talking about in the course. A copy of this table is available in the Resources section. A green check means that the function can perform a particular operation. And I'll be going through each of these functions in depth in individual lectures, but first let's run down the definition of these features so you'll have a better understanding of how these functions perform. Vertical search means that Excel will look vertically within the columns of your arrays. So you'll want to use a function that can do vertical search if your data is set up like this down columns. This is how most data is set up in Excel, but not all the time. Horizontal search means that Excel will look horizontally within rows. So you'll want to use a function that can do horizontal search if your data is set up like this across rows. Left-to-right search means that Excel will look to its right to find the return value. So if your data is set up so that what you want Excel to return is to the right of your lookup values, then you'll want to use a function that can do left-to-right searching. Right-to-left search means that Excel will look to its left to find the return value. So if your data is set up so that what you want returned is to the left of your lookup values, then you'll want to use a function that can do right-to-left searching. Two-dimensional search means that we can search both rows and columns to return the intersection of two values we specify. You'll want to use a function that can do two-dimensional searching if your data is set up both down columns and across rows, and you want to return a value based on column and row lookup values. Now, if I go back to the graphic, I can quickly check to see which lookup function I can use depending on how my data is set up.
If you want to learn more, check out the link in the description and watch some of the preview videos in Robin's course on Udemy.